Okay. All right. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about Bel Air. The second season, the first episode just premiered, and I'm so excited that this show is back because I thought the first season was so good. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know what other people were expecting from it or whatever. Like, I like the fact that they can expand on the characters. I think that's so good that we can like have a lot of other backstory to build onto the character. On a sitcom, you only see them in certain settings, and this to me, I don't know. Comment below if you disagree or you agree. I think that I love the show. This is one of my favorite shows. Um, so let's start out with like a recap of last season. Some things that happened last season, um Will's father popped up. Marlon Wayans is playing his father. And so Marlon Wayans is funny as I don't know what. I think that there was a couple of times as I was watching that it kind of looked like, when you look at Marlon's face, I would just want to laugh. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was good that they was able to keep straight faces or whatever. But then sometimes it did look like they weren't actually in the room together. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe it was the camera angles. It looked like he was looking at him, but then it looked like he was looking away from him the whole time. So I don't know. I also am a person who likes to find like mistakes in movies. So I don't know if that was one or not, but sometimes it just looked like he wasn't actually looking at him and they was standing close to each other. So I don't know, but Marlon Wayans is funny. I wouldn't have been able to keep a straight face with him. Jazz and Hillary slept together. Uh, Jeffrey left. What else happened last season? Carlton opened the file about Will's dad, and he told Will. He gave it to Will. Um, Will is pretty much mad that the family kept the secret from him this whole time. That's a touchy situation because as a parent you have in your mind like, oh well, I want to make sure that my child is not around certain things, but you have to kind of think forward and be like, what is the child going to think when they get old enough to understand? It's kind of like if somebody, has a baby, somebody gets pregnant and they never tell the child who their father was, or they say that the child's father is somebody different. Like, that's a lie you got to keep going. I would say for 18 years, but it always comes out. And the last thing personally that I would want to happen is that my child gets old enough to understand what's going on. And then he looks back and like, oh damn, my mother's a liar. So I totally see what Will is upset about. And I understand the parent situation too. I'm pretty sure they thought they were making a good decision. This is a sitcom slash drama series now. So it's not real, but these are situations that actually happen out into the world. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, so he confronted his mom and asked why didn't they tell him the truth. And I can just imagine how that would feel as a parent to be confronted like that. I mean, he is entitled to the answer, but it's just that moment. I could just imagine how uncomfortable that was. But I digress. Will talks to his dad, and it did not go well last season. Like, he actually like put his hand around his neck, so that was kind of interesting. Um, but he also missed meeting up with Lisa. He's supposed to talk. Will was supposed to talk to Lisa, um, and his father came. So that kind of put a sour thing on the relationship that they already had breaking up or whatever. Okay, so Will leaves. He leaves. I'm not gonna say run away because he's old enough to be on his own. He leaves the bank's residence, and they're all like worried and things like that. One of the things that I did not notice the last time when that happened was right before he left, Carlton slips the money clip in his pocket. I totally missed that last season. I don't know if y'all caught that. Let me know if y'all caught that. But I was like, oh, okay, Carlton, good looking out. Because Carlton was a big asshole in the beginning. Beginning of season one. I was just like, oh my God, he is such a hater. But I'm glad their relationship is coming together. But I didn't see him slip that money clip into his pocket. So that was kind of interesting to me. Um, but yeah, so after that, Vi actually tells actually says that it was her that kept Will's father out of his life. So that's going to be a conversation that's going to come up this season. I like her. I think they have the perfect actor for Will's mom. Um, I think it's actually better than the original mom, but the original mom was good. But 2023 vibe, I kind of like. I like her. Carlton actually went to Lisa to have her help him find Will. So yeah, the season 2 is about to be good. So okay, let's get into the first episode. The first episode was good in my opinion. He's staying with Jazz, so he moved out. He's staying with Jazz, and he was Will is staying with Jazz in South LA. So that's probably interesting. He probably feels real independent being out on his own. Hillary and Ivy, if you remember from last season, they collaborated, and Hillary actually pitched to Ivy that, remember when Hillary was in that content house and she was under contract and she couldn't get out of it. She hadn't told her parents yet, so she was working hard to figure out something else. And she figured it out. She talked to Ivy to have her buy the content house. That way she wouldn't owe dude no more money, and then she would actually have, carte blanche, I guess, to create something else, something bigger and something better. But everybody, throughout this whole episode was missing Will. Will is, meeting. So we see him meeting in a cafe with a dude. I think his name is JB. And so when he meets up with JB, they have this moment where JB hands him some money. And so at first I was like, Will, what are you doing? My mind just went to drugs. I don't know if that's like the stereotypical mother in me, but I automatically was like, excuse me? Okay, so he asked JB about a meeting with Doc. And JB said he's gonna set it up. So then Carlton picks Will up, and Will is flexing. He gave him the money back that he gave to him, and he's he balling right now. And Carlton is like, what are you doing? Where are you getting this from? What's going on? And so Will's like, buy something nice for yourself. Every dollar in your pocket don't gotta be from Uncle Phil. Carlton is just like, what are you doing? So Will actually tells him that he's playing ball. He's winning the money playing ball. So I was like, okay, all right. My antennas are down now. Okay. So then Carlton and Will talk about the guy Doc, and Will explains to him that he used to be scouted when he was in high school. He was on his way, and once he moved to Bel Air, all of that stopped. So this person Doc is supposed to be able to help him get back into that kind of circle. And so Carlton's trying to get him to talk to Uncle Phil. He's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and do this on my own. When I remember when I was that age, I thought I was grown. You don't realize how much you don't know until you get older and like, damn, I ain't know shit. Also in this episode, Aunt Viv has a big interview. She got that fellowship last season, and it's only up from here. So she has this interview with this lady. She's telling the lady all of her thoughts and plans, and I just knew that that's gonna come and backfire. And we're going to talk about that towards the end of this video. So then the ladies, they're back in the house. Ivy has her products that she's trying to sell. And if you look at this scene, if you watch this scene, all of them except for Ivy was like, kind of like, okay, we're going to drink this. It looked like some type of apple martini drink or whatever. But they was just kind of like, all right. But these are the ladies that are in the house. But the brothers that were those two brothers, I forgot what they call them, the black ass brothers or something like that. They could have came up with something better, but they come into the house and start tussling around like they usually do, and so they all look at each other like nobody fired them. Ivy lets Hillary know that she's in charge of personnel and she about to go do something else, and so now Hillary has to fire those brothers. And so then they show Hillary talking to Jazz because, they slept together. As I said earlier, in the last season, they slept together. So she's telling him how she had the power was when she had to fire them and how much she did not like it. And so Jazz and Hillary are getting a little bit closer, but they still aren't coming out with their relationship now. Jazz wants to, but Hillary was kind of like, I just want to let's just do us. Um, I think that's funny because that is how it is sometimes. And until you see that person being wanted by somebody else, then you change your mind, which is exactly what happened at the end. But I find that's usually the case when the guy is shorter than the woman. I don't know what it is. The men never have a problem hollering at women who are taller than them. They climb those trees. But it be us, the women, who have the problem with the height. And it's like, it's such a psychological thing, because just because he's shorter than you doesn't mean that he's less of a man. But it does kind of make you feel like, well, if I'm taller, who's going to protect us if somebody does something while we out? I don't know. Maybe that's me being biased or whatever. Like, I don't discriminate or whatever, but I did have an issue with height for men at some point in my life. So Hillary is telling Jazz about how she's the new house manager, and like firing those guys was one of her duties as house manager. But she does let him know also that she feeling some type of way about how Ivy is acting. Now I can see both sides. Ivy, Hillary was doing her thing and she knows a lot of people, but Ivy was the bigger star, especially in her mind. And so she was probably kind of looking at it like, I paid for I bought the house and I bought you out of your contract. So essentially you work for me. But, Hillary hadn't made it clear what she wanted to do, but she definitely is feeling some type of way about how Ivy's acting, and she let Jazz know that as well. But another good thing that happened is the real Ashley made an appearance as Miss Hughes. She was the teacher for Ashley, and I thought that was so tight. It took me by surprise, but I was like, okay, she looking good too. I thought that was real cool. That's why I really am enjoying this show, because none of the regular people from the cast are actually in the show as main characters. And so it's really, really like cool to see them pop up in other aspects. So Uncle Phil also returns to the office, but dude that he works with, I guess it's his partner, he kind of was like it was a little bit of shade there. So I don't know what's brewing with that, but it's only the first episode. So, like I said, I think they did a really good job in putting this show together. And a lot happens in one episode. So, expect something to come up with that, because he was like, oh, I got a thing. Let me roll out. Like, he really wasn't receptive to Uncle Phil coming back to the office. And then there was a part where Ashley overheard Miss Hughes in a convo, and she mentioned, like, the lady that was talking to her mentioned about a process. So I don't know if she was getting reprimanded for something that she was trying to do. But again, I feel like because I saw some Black Lives Matter, stuff that's gonna be coming up in the previews they gave us. So we'll see what's brewing with that as well. But I like how they're tying in like modern day stuff, because this is such an old show. Like back in the day, an influencer wasn't a job, right? So like that's one of the things that they're incorporating, and they're incorporating real world stuff that has happened. So I really like that. And so then Jeffrey, Will gets in touch with Jeffrey, and so he's talking to Jeffrey and explaining everything to him. He tells Jeffrey that this whole thing made him feel like he wanted to be more independent, and I can totally get that. Like I said, I'm remembering how I was when I was that age, and I just could not wait to just be on my own and have my own independence and make my own decisions and my own mistakes. I remember that. But at the end of the conversation, Jeffrey is like, your uncle loves you, and he tells him to go ahead and talk to him. So then Jeffrey goes to talk to Viv and Uncle Phil, and he tells them he talked to Will, and he low-key apologized while he was there. And Phil just kind of was like, thank you for the update on Will. And then Viv showed him out. But I was just like, damn, Phil, what's wrong? he just, he just had like a moment right there. Like that was his moment to just like make things good with Jeffrey. And it was just like he just wanted to be stubborn. But I guess that's classic Uncle Phil, right? It's classic Uncle Phil. So we'll see what happens. But I loved Jeffrey in the cast last season, so I really hope that this is not them writing him out. I hope that it's just like a little twist and turn, a little bit of drama for the viewers or whatever. But I love the cast. I just love the cast. So then Will decides to go ahead and attend Ashley's birthday party because Ashley is turning 13 and he will not miss that for the world. But as him and Jazz was talking, Jazz was telling him about how he feels about Hillary and how, she wasn't trying to make it official, but he keeping his options all the way open. And as they were talking, Will's phone rings and it's JB. So let me just show y'all another picture of JB because he got a mouthful of gold or whatever. But JB calls him and tells him, "Look, there's going to be a game and Doc is going to be there. You need to be there so you can, meet him and show yourself or whatever." But the problem is when he asked him when the game was, it's in an hour. Of course, typical like TV show stuff. Everything's happening at the same time. So what does Will do? He like, I'm about to go there, then I'm about to go to the party. And Jazz is like, oh my goodness. But y'all know Jazz is a driver. He know how to get all around, LA really fast. So they go to the game. And while they're there, so they go to the game and Will literally only has 40 minutes. And he tries to go over and introduce himself to Doc, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm about to watch this game. If you still around afterwards, then I'll holler at you." He's like, "Oh, I'm kind of in a rush," and he just pretty much got dismissed or whatever. So he goes back over to sit down. He actually met a girl that I did not. Let me see. He actually met a girl who told him that if he wants to get Doc's attention, then he needs to show him and not talk to him. And so that was that. And so once I seen this, I was like, this girl gonna be a problem. I have seen her in some other little previews too, so we're gonna see what's brewing with that. Like they got all these little stories going on at the same time. Like, but this is why I love the show. But she tells him not to talk to him to get his attention, but show him. So miraculously, a one-on-one game pops up, and there's a slot open for somebody to play. So of course, Will jumps right up, like, "Yeah, I'm your man. I got you." He goes over and he like, "All right, so who's my opponent?" And they like, "Big Dre, I think his name was, Big somebody." And this is him, and he was like so much taller. I should have got a picture with him and Will standing beside each other, but he was so much taller than Will, and so Will was like, "Oh Lord." So the game starts, and the big guy had the ball. They had to go to 7, and they had to win by 2, I think. And so the guy just is like pretty much manhandling Will all over the court. I think he tried to do like 3 or 4 shots. He made 3 or 4. He took 3 or 4 shots, and then I think the guy took 3 or 4 shots. He was sinking them, and then the last one that he made, which is probably like the 4th point, it bounced off. It came back out the rim. So then Will got the ball, and that was his chance to shine. Okay, I was in this show like, yes, let's do this, like I was playing. But it was really, really good. But I knew it would be. You know what I mean? This is my favorite shot right here when he did one of those dunks. I don't know who that person actually is. Like, I wonder if it was actually Jabari, but I don't think it was. But that was the dunk. He did a couple of dunks in there. They showed some shots of Doc while he was playing. Doc was definitely paying attention, but at the end of the game, he went over and talked to him, and he already knew who Will was, right? He already knew who Will was. Well, that's what he said. He said he already knew who Will was. So, but he told him he's not taking any more new clients. So it was like, dang, all that for nothing. So Will left with Jazz, and they went to the party. The party was on a yacht, and they barely made it. They had to sprint to get there before they took off, but they were waiting for them, so that was good because everybody made it on. So So this is the chance that Hillary had to talk to Ivy about how everything was going and what her expectations were. And then she told her that she could bring her product onto the yacht for, like, you know, to show people, but she meant like a few products. She brought everything. So that's the first thing she said to her when she got up there. So they got to talk about how they wanted things to go or whatever, and I think she got a little bit of respect because she spoke up for herself. So we'll see how it goes. But one of the things she asked her about was Jazz. She was like, "So is he single?" First Hillary said no. Then she was like, "I don't know, you know, still trying to play the role, whatever." I knew it was gonna be a problem right then and there because she didn't put any claim on him, and I knew it was just gonna come to a head eventually. So then, like, Uncle Phil, so so like all throughout the day of the party, um, that's Jazz and Ivy dancing. They all up on each other and stuff like that. And then this Hillary over there, like, ugh, what are they doing? I thought that was funny too. Who been in that situation before? I have been in that situation one time before, and it wasn't this deep to where they was about to get together, but it could have been like that. So that told me to just be honest that just told me to be honest going forward, because no, I can't stand there and watch that. But then while she was standing over there looking like this, Will had come up and talked to her, and he let her know that Jazz is into her. So she was kind of shocked, but then she kind of just like played it off or whatever. Um, so then, like, Will finally talks to Lisa, and he lets her know that, you know, they need to take a break. He feels like everything's going so fast that he jumped in too fast. He gives her the forehead kiss and everything. And so we'll see how that goes. I gotta remember how it went in the first in the show back in the day. Like, I forgot some parts. So they sing happy birthday. Hillary got Sweetie to come and sing to Ashley, so that was kind of cool. Will and Uncle Phil talked. Uncle Phil actually apologized to Will, and he tells him that he can come home too. So Will does come home at the end of the episode. This is the money shot right there when he came in. It's so crazy how when you look at their wardrobe and stuff, it looks like you can tell that some of these things are props. Like how they got the hat hanging on his bag like that, and just how they making him dress like he is playing the character very well. But some stuff that they do is like it's like they're trying to make it a point to remind you of Will Smith, Fresh Prince, Philly, all of that. So that's kind of interesting to me. It's interesting to me to just look at their fashions, because some of the fashions are really good, but some of the fashions be like, what is that? I was looking at Viv's necklace. I didn't get a picture of that, but I was like, she had on this necklace right before she did the interview, and it was just kind of like, what is that, lady, around your neck? But maybe it's high fashion that I'm not privy to, so there's that. So then there's a point where they talk about her and Viv and Phil talk about the article, because she realizes that the article doesn't say anything that she talked about. It's all about Reed's vision, and they actually call her a forgotten artist. So I was like, dang, but I knew that was going to happen as soon as she was doing that interview. I just knew it, because we're in a dramedy. We're in this drama series, and everything is not always as it seems, especially on these TV shows. Like, I feel like I used to be able to predict certain stuff. I can predict some stuff now, but sometimes I'll be shocked. Like, oh, that didn't happen. Okay, all right. But yeah, so she's upset about the article. So then Doc calls Will, and he said he was impressed. He told him to lock in his phone number. He said he'll be looking for him at the next game. So then they show JB and Doc talking, and he's like, thank you. I'm glad you took another look at him or whatever. And so Doc was like, yeah, I like the kid, but first impressions aren't always the real impression. Something to that effect. But then he showed him this. And this basically just shows that Will is connected to the Banks family. So I wonder what's going on with that. Like, did Doc really know who he was? Or did he change his mind once he found out who he was? I don't know. So we'll see what comes of that. Like, what he got planned for, what Doc got planned for him or whatever. But then also, Jazz and Ivy was kicking it the whole night on the party, so he helped them home with some stuff or whatever, and so Ivy was about to slob him down. And Hillary was like, she could not take it anymore, so she basically came out and was like, listen, I'm feeling him, we together or whatever, and then Hillary and Jazz kissed instead of Ivy kissing him or whatever. Well, I don't know if she actually got the kiss in or not. I feel like they almost really realized kiss, but I don't know. But I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was a great first episode. I also like all of the props and whoever does the staging, like whoever decorates the houses and the places that they're at, and you know, the venues that they go to. Like, I felt like the yacht party was really, really cool, and some of the things that, you know, that they have them wear, I think that makes the show really good too. It's just another element that I like. So this was the first episode. It's on Peacock. It comes on Thursdays. I think it's Thursday nights, but if you got the Peacock app, OWN used to do this too, but they stopped. You used to be able to watch the episodes at like 12 o'clock the night before. You used to be able to watch it, and they stopped that. But Peacock, I think you can watch the episode at 5 a.m. the day that it comes on. So you don't gotta wait till Thursday night if you don't want to, but always come back here to get your reviews, to talk in the chat. Tell me what you thought about this episode. Do you like Bel Air? Are you a fan of the show? Do you like that it's expanded? Did you watch Fresh Prince coming up? Or do you not like the show? Like, what are your thoughts? Get in the comments below and let me know. I'm your girl, BEL, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.